All right, Cancer, let's get into your reading. The message that I have for you today is this, and it landed with undeniable force. There is a woman connected to your story, a woman who actively prayed for your collapse. She invested real energy into seeing you stumble, into watching your life come apart at the seams. What she did not anticipate is the outcome. You did not fall. You climbed higher while she watched. The victory you are stepping into was never supposed to happen, at least not according to her plan. She mapped out your failure in her mind. She rehearsed a version where you lost everything. Instead, the opposite unfolded. And the success you are building has become her most unbearable reality. Her blueprint for your destruction became your blueprint for elevation. And the irony is not lost on spirit. Come in close today because the cards have something powerful to confirm about this exact situation. The first card is the Queen of Wands in reverse, and she identifies this woman precisely. The reversed Queen of Wands is jealousy wearing a mask, envy dressed up as indifference or false concern. This card names a woman who presented herself as neutral, maybe even supportive, while poisoning your path underneath. She operated through whispers, through subtle sabotage and carefully placed doubt, never confronting you directly. The poison was always indirect, always deniable, designed so she could retreat behind innocence if questioned. Her method was strategic. She wanted your confidence to erode slowly, so the damage looked self-inflicted. The reversed queen also exposes insecurity at her core. She targeted you because your light exposed her shadow. Your growth became a mirror she could not face, reflecting everything she wished she possessed but never cultivated. She did not hate you for any flaw. She hated you for the excellence she could not replicate. Every milestone you reached deepened her resentment because your progress was evidence of her own stagnation. The next card coming through is the Three of Swords in reverse, and this shifts the entire narrative. The Three of Swords reversed does not represent fresh pain. It represents pain that is actively healing. Whatever damage she attempted has already peaked. The worst of her interference is behind you now. The wounds she inflicted are closing on their own, stitching themselves shut, with or without her permission. This card tells me the heartache was real, but its grip on your daily life is weakening. You may have felt the sting for a season, but that season has already reached its expiration. The Three of Swords reversed also indicates truth surfacing, her real motives becoming visible to those around her. People who believed her version are beginning to notice cracks, inconsistencies she cannot explain away. Then we have the Empress, and this card radiates the abundance that is already blooming around you. The Empress does not arrive for people in decline. She appears for those standing in their full flourishing. This card confirms you are magnetic right now, attracting opportunities and recognition that align with your authentic worth. The abundance is not accidental. It grew directly from seeds you planted during your most difficult chapters. While she was focused on tearing you down, you were quietly building something she never saw coming. The Empress also represents feminine power reclaimed, a throne that belongs to you and was never hers. Your presence alone is the statement. Your existence in your fullness is the response her jealousy deserves. Following that, we see the Page of Swords, and this card validates the watching that is happening. The Page of Swords confirms she is observing your every move, monitoring your wins from a careful distance. She checks on you more than she will admit, tracking your progress with an obsession she cannot control. Every post, every achievement, every visible sign of your happiness registers as a personal defeat in her mind. The Page of Swords says her surveillance is not casual, it is compulsive, driven by disbelief. She cannot understand how you thrived after everything she orchestrated, and that confusion is consuming her daily. This reading validates the message completely. A woman wished for your downfall, and you won anyway. The cards have identified her, named her methods, exposed her motive, and confirmed that her season is over. Now the cards are pulling the focus entirely toward you and what lives inside your emotional world. You have been winning, but winning has not erased the awareness of what was done behind your back. A tension lives between your success and your vigilance, a split that exhausts you more than you show. Part of you celebrates every milestone with pride, and another part scans the room for the next threat. You learned how to thrive while looking over your shoulder, and that skill came at a real cost. The exhaustion is not from the work. It is from the constant alertness running underneath everything. The first card is Strength, and this mirrors the composure you have mastered while carrying invisible weight. Strength does not depict a soul untouched by struggle. It depicts one who tamed the chaos from within. You absorbed her attacks without publicly reacting. You chose silence over spectacle, and that restraint took everything. There were moments you wanted to expose her, to drag every lie into daylight, and you held back. That discipline was not weakness. It was a calculated decision to protect your energy from further contamination. You swallowed words that could have destroyed her reputation, and that restraint still costs you sleep sometimes. Strength also reveals the anger you keep folded neatly beneath your composure, controlled but very much alive. You are not as unbothered as you appear. The awareness of her actions still triggers a quiet fury. It surfaces when you least expect it, during calm moments, when your guard drops and the memory intrudes. The anger is not destructive, it is informational. It reminds you of exactly what you refuse to tolerate. You have channeled that fire into your ambition, converting resentment into results. And that alchemy defines you. The world sees your success, but you know it was built on the fuel of proving her wrong. Every accomplishment carries a layer of defiance underneath, a refusal to become the cautionary tale she predicted. The next card is the Four of Wands, and this reflects the stability you built from wreckage. The Four of Wands shows a life that is visibly flourishing, celebrations and milestones stacking up around you. From the outside, your world looks enviable, assembled with intention, and radiating warmth that draws people close. What nobody sees is the scaffolding underneath, the late nights and the quiet tears that built this foundation. You constructed this version of your life brick by brick, while processing betrayal nobody fully understood. The foundation you stand on was poured during your lowest season, and nobody handed you a single brick. The Four of Wands says your home and peace are sacred to you, guarded with fierce intentionality. You have become extremely selective about who occupies your inner circle, vetting loyalty before granting access. That selectiveness is not paranoia. It is wisdom earned through experience, and you wear it without apology. A loneliness lives inside that selectiveness, though, a quiet ache from trusting fewer people than before. Following that, we see the Seven of Cups, and this card speaks to the questions circling your mind. The Seven of Cups reveals you stand before multiple emotional crossroads, weighing options that feel equally heavy. Part of you wants to rise above it, to release every thought of her, and move forward unburdened. Another part wants acknowledgement, wants the world to see what she did and validate what you survived. A deeper part wants to understand why you were chosen as her target when you offered no harm. That question lives quietly in your chest, unanswered and persistent, surfacing whenever stillness gives it room. You may never receive that answer, and learning to live alongside the mystery is its own quiet strength. The Seven of Cups says you need not choose between these feelings. They can coexist without conflict. Your complexity is not confusion, it is depth, and the cards honor every layer of what you carry. You are allowed to celebrate and grieve at the same time. Those truths do not cancel each other. The victory does not erase the wound, and the wound does not diminish the victory. Both are real. What the cards emphasize is this: you did not just survive her, you outgrew the version she knew. The woman she targeted no longer exists, and the one standing in your place is beyond her reach. Okay, the cards are now turning fully toward this woman, and what they expose is deeply unsettled. This woman is not thriving. She is performing a version of stability that crumbles when she is alone. The exterior she presents to the world is curated and controlled, but behind closed doors, she is unraveling. Her obsession with your life has become a cage, consuming hours she will never admit to wasting. The monitoring is no longer strategic, it has crossed into compulsion, and she cannot pull herself free. Every glimpse of your happiness triggers a spiral, a descent into comparison. She consistently loses. The resentment has become her primary fuel, the thing she wakes with and the last thought before sleep. It has consumed her identity, replacing ambition and purpose with a fixation she is too proud to name. The first card is the Hierophant in reverse, and this exposes the moral corruption at her foundation. The reversed Hierophant reveals a woman who abandoned her own values, trading integrity for the satisfaction of cruelty. She justified her actions by rewriting the narrative, casting herself as victim, so guilt would not reach. The story she tells others about you is fiction, a carefully constructed version where she bears no blame. She repeated that fiction so many times, part of her believes it, but another part knows the truth. That knowing is what she cannot escape. It follows her into every quiet room and every sleepless night. The guilt she suppresses during daylight resurfaces the moment distractions stop, demanding to be acknowledged. The reversed Hierophant also indicates isolation forming around her. The people she influenced are pulling away. Her credibility is thinning, and the allies she recruited against you are beginning to question her account. Cracks in her narrative are widening, and she feels the ground shifting without any way to stop it. The foundation of lies she built is not designed to hold weight, and the pressure is mounting daily. She can feel the structure weakening, and the fear of full exposure has become a constant companion. The next card is the Five of Wands, and this reveals the internal war tearing her apart daily. The Five of Wands shows a mind at war with itself, competing impulses clashing without resolution or relief. One part of her wants to double down, to commit fully to the hostility and feel justified. Another part knows she crossed a line, that what she did was rooted in jealousy, not genuine grievance. That second voice grows louder with each passing week, and silencing it requires more energy than she possesses. She is exhausting herself, maintaining a position she no longer believes in, and the fatigue is visible. The conflict is leaking into her relationships and daily interactions, surfacing as sharpness. Others have started noticing. She cannot hear about your achievements without a visible reaction, and that transparency is eroding her image. The mask she constructed to appear unbothered is slipping, and the envy underneath is becoming impossible to hide. The Five of Wands shows her fighting a battle already lost, swinging at shadows that never swing back. Then we have the Eight of Cups, and this card reaches into the emptiness beneath her hostility. The Eight of Cups shows a woman departing from what she once valued, walking away from her potential. She abandoned her own growth the moment she fixated on destroying yours, and that trade left her bankrupt. The energy she invested in your downfall was stolen from her evolution, redirected into poison, not progress. She knows this on a level she refuses to articulate. The years spent undermining you were lost forever. The Eight of Cups also exposes sadness beneath the aggression, a grief for the life she never built. While you were constructing something meaningful, she was dismantling her own foundation, one sabotage at a time. The emptiness is not about you. It is about the mirror you became, reflecting her own wasted seasons. Every achievement you display is a timestamp, marking what she could have built if envy had not won. Your success did not manufacture her unhappiness. It simply illuminated the unhappiness already living inside her. She is haunted not by what you have, but by the distance between your reality and hers. The cards show a woman trapped inside her own consequences, with no one remaining to blame but herself. So the cards are revealing what this woman does next, and the movement is already forming. This is no longer about feelings, it is about the steps she is preparing to take. A decision is crystallizing inside her, one she has been circling for weeks, and it is nearly final. The pressure of watching you succeed has reached a threshold, and her next move is shaped by desperation. She is approaching a crossroads where pretending is impossible, and the path she selects will define everything. The crossroads is not distant, it is happening within the next few weeks, and the clock is ticking. The first card is the Six of Swords, and this signals a transition she cannot reverse. The Six of Swords shows departure, a deliberate move away from the current dynamic into new territory. She is preparing to shift her strategy entirely, abandoning the covert approach for something more visible. The whisper campaign is losing effectiveness, and she recognizes the subtle methods are no longer producing results. Her next move involves a more direct approach, stepping forward publicly in a way she previously avoided. The Six of Swords tells me she is reaching into your circle, testing alliances, looking for weak points. She wants to locate anyone who might carry her narrative, recruiting new voices to echo her version. This is not impulsive, it is calculated withdrawal from one tactic and deliberate entry into another. The transition involves distancing herself from people who question her, cutting ties before they expose anything. She is pruning her own circle, removing anyone whose loyalty feels uncertain to protect her story. The Six of Swords confirms she will reposition herself socially, creating distance from the fallout zone. You may notice her disappearing from shared spaces, pulling back from mutual connections in ways that feel abrupt. That withdrawal is not surrender, it is strategic relocation, designed to rebuild credibility from safer ground. She believes a fresh start will erase what she did, but the wheel says her history follows everywhere. She is searching for fresh soil where her reputation remains intact, new audiences who have not heard truth. The next card is the Wheel of Fortune, and it reveals the turning point she did not anticipate. The wheel does not bend to personal agendas. It moves according to a rhythm beyond her control. Forces larger than her strategy are converging, and the timeline for her reckoning is tightening rapidly. What she planned as a quiet exit is about to collide with unexpected exposure she cannot manipulate. Information she buried is resurfacing through channels she never considered, reaching people she assumed would never know. The wheel is spinning toward accountability, and every attempt to outrun it places her directly in its path. Her next moves will backfire in sequence, each strategic adjustment triggering a consequence she did not calculate. The new alliances she pursues will not hold, because the wheel is aligning circumstances that reveal her pattern. People she approaches will already carry suspicion, having noticed inconsistencies she failed to clean up. The evidence of her behavior is accumulating in places she cannot reach, building a case without her knowledge. Conversations she thought were private are being revisited, and the people she confided in are reconsidering their silence. The Wheel of Fortune confirms her season of operating undetected is ending, and no relocation can outpace it. She will attempt to control the narrative one final time, crafting a version that positions her as misunderstood. That attempt will not land as she envisions, because the ground beneath her has already shifted permanently. The timing of her exposure is not random, it is orchestrated by the same energy that protected you. The same divine timing that shielded you during the worst of it is now turning attention toward her. Every move she makes now accelerates the reckoning, and the cards say she cannot outrun the wheel. Her chapter of influence over your story is closing, and the actions she takes only hasten that closure. She is running out of room, and every door she tries is closing faster than the last. The cards show a woman in motion without a destination, running from consequences that arrive before she does. Okay, the cards now reach beneath the surface, into what this woman will never speak aloud. These are confessions she buries under hostility, truths she hides, even from her own reflection. She will never speak these words to another soul, but the cards expose them without mercy. The hostility she wears like armor is a disguise. Underneath it lives a catalog of regret. The first confession is envy, so deep it has altered her physically, lodged in her posture and sleep. She does not just resent your success, she is consumed by it. in a way that governs her. Every morning, she wakes with your name occupying space in her mind, uninvited and impossible to evict. She has tried to redirect her focus, to build something of her own, and the motivation never sustains. The comparison is automatic. Every good thing in her life gets measured against your version of it. Her own achievements feel hollow because she filters them through your lens, and they always shrink. The first card is the Hanged Man, and he uncovers the confession she guards most fiercely. The Hanged Man says she is suspended in regret, trapped between who she became and who she wanted. The deepest confession is this: she knows she wasted her potential, and watching you maximize yours is torture. She does not hate you for winning. She hates herself for never competing on her own terms. The resentment was never truly about you. It was always about the reflection you forced her to confront. She never wanted to look at herself that closely, and your presence made avoidance impossible. Your existence became a measuring stick she never requested, a standard that exposed every shortcut she took. The Hanged Man also shows she secretly respects you, a grudging admiration she would rather die than admit. She studies your moves not just from jealousy, but fascination, because you built what she only dreamed. Part of her wants to learn from you, to understand the discipline and focus that produced your results. That desire is her most humiliating confession, wanting guidance from the person she tried to destroy. She will never ask or acknowledge it, but the cards confirm that admiration lives beneath the hatred. The Hanged Man shows her frozen in contradiction, unable to hate you, because part of her is awed. Following that, we see the Four of Cups, and this card uncovers the loneliness she will never confess. The Four of Cups shows her obsession cost her real connection, people who once mattered deeply. She sacrificed friendships by recruiting them into her campaign, turning allies into weapons until they grew exhausted. The people who once surrounded her are thinning out, not from betrayal, but from fatigue with her bitterness. She weaponized loyalty until it broke, and now the isolation she faces is entirely of her own making. She is lonelier than she has been in years, and the emptiness is a direct consequence. The Four of Cups also exposes a confession she will never voice. She misses who she was before. Before the envy consumed her, she had warmth and humor and lightness, and she can feel those fading. She mourns who she used to be, but cannot name the cause, because naming it means admitting defeat. The bitterness has become her identity, and releasing it would leave her standing, with nothing to replace it. Without the obsession, she would face the void she created, and that prospect terrifies her completely. She built a cage from her own hatred, and the bars are made of bitterness she cannot release. The Four of Cups confirms she wishes she had chosen differently, invested in building instead of tearing down. She fantasizes about a version of her life where that energy went into creation, not destruction. That fantasy visits her in quiet moments, offering a glimpse of what could have been if pride lost. The final confession is this: she knows you never deserved any of it, and that truth haunts her. She targeted you for everything you did right, not for anything wrong, and she knows the difference. That awareness is the heaviest thing she carries, heavier than the jealousy, and heavier than the shame. She carries all of it alone, because confessing means surrendering the last shred of her story. The cards show a woman suffocating under truths she refuses to speak, buried inside her, but never silent. So let us bring this reading to its close, because the cards have one final declaration for you. The near future is radiant, and the energy surrounding you right now is only going to intensify. The first card is the Sun, and she arrives to confirm that your brightest chapter is actively unfolding. The Sun does not appear for people entering decline. She appears for those stepping into undeniable visibility. The coming weeks bring recognition you did not chase, opportunities arriving because your energy attracted them naturally. People will approach you with offers and invitations drawn by a magnetism you never had to manufacture. Your name is circulating in rooms you have never entered, carried by a reputation you built through consistency. The Sun says the spotlight is shifting onto you, and the warmth will feel like vindication. The second card is the Knight of Pentacles, and he represents the steady abundance solidifying around your life. The Knight of Pentacles confirms this is not temporary. It is long-term stability locked into place. The foundation you built during your hardest season is now producing returns, tangible and visible to everyone watching. The Knight says your discipline is paying dividends she never imagined, rewards arriving on a steady schedule. Now, here is the advice the cards are offering, and it carries weight you need to absorb. Do not dim your light to make her comfortable. Your brightness is not the problem. Her shadow is. Continue building without apology, without shrinking, and without glancing backward at a woman who chose destruction. She does not deserve the space she occupies in your thoughts. Reclaim it for your own peace. When her name surfaces in your mind, release it gently and redirect that energy towards something that grows. You do not owe her forgiveness on any timeline. Healing moves at the pace your spirit requires.